for some foreigner, Western people,
Yeah.
I think it's not very easy for them to pronounce the Chinese name. For example, yesterday I had a writing tutoring, and my tutor asked me how to pronounce the new Chinese classmates will come in July.
Oh, really?
Because I think Chinese have different tone with English.
Okay.
So English didn't have four tones in speaking, but Chinese have four tones. Yeah, for example, my name Yi, we call this fourth tone, but there is four tone. So Yi, just four characters have four meanings. So that's why. But in English, just Y-I. Yeah, Y-I. But in Chinese, Y-I have different tones.
Right.
So different tones have different meaning. In Chinese culture, we always call the family name the first, and then and then the nickname.
Okay.
So Chen is my family name, and Yi is my nickname. But in English, it should be called me Yi Chen. Yeah. But I think sometimes we are not used to this name. From my culture, in Chinese culture, we always pursue equity. So my family always taught me like that when I was a kid. So personally, I prefer to communicate with someone equally and can live in an equal environment. But I find people would like to play in different groups. Chinese play with Chinese, and American always play with Americans. Maybe another Asian people always play play each other. So sometimes I think if this family could be changed a little bit, it would be nice, I think. I already discussed this issue with my Chinese classmates, and we all feel that it's not easy to communicate with American classmates. You could say hi, hello, or communicate just some superficial questions.
Right.
It's easier. But if you want to talk deeply or just dig some questions, you find it's difficult at first. We have some different opinions, but I think the key here is we have different cultures and have different habits in life. Some interesting topic that American people would like to, some sports. But I think most Chinese don't like sports. At first, in my first culture, my English was more than most Chinese classmates. So I just find they would like to play with Chinese. I think maybe their English is not very well to communicate with American. But I asked them why you don't like talking more with American classmates. So I find that the reason in here is we really couldn't deeper pressing. So I think when I go back China, I don't know I can keep speaking English or not. Because I still feel sometimes it's the barrier in my brain to speak out, to express my ideas.
Yeah, that is true, and I think that's why I'm like so thankful to you for having this conversation with me, because I know that sometimes it can be a little difficult because you want to express yourself in your native language, but it's kind of how it is, I guess. Thank you, Anne, for sharing all these wonderful insights with me. I think I learned so much just in these few minutes of conversation.
Thank you very much.
Chinatown Bazaar, which has some really cool stuff it seems. So we're just gonna go inside, take a look, and get to see some touristy stuff maybe. So let's go inside the Chinatown Bazaar, and as you can see, it's really colorful, and there are like all kinds of cool stuff. The lanterns and the wind chimes and everything, and like a bunch of really shiny clothes out here. So many accessories, so many gift items, I guess. So it's really, really cool. I have no idea what this says, but it really looks great. This looks scary. I have no idea what this is. I mean, it looks like chicken or maybe something else. I'm not sure about that one, what that is. So, and all of this kind of looks a little overwhelming, but I'm pretty sure we'll find good food too. So, yeah, let's go. So now we're at Yummy Yummy Noodles. We looked it up on Yelp, so it has got some good reviews, and we're hoping to talk to someone out here about the food, the culture, and many different things, and also kind of starving, so I hope we got good food. Hi, so we're here at the Yummy Yummy Noodles, and we have ordered some really, really yummy things to eat. So while our food is on our way, so we met Annie, and she's graciously offered to enlighten us about Chinese culture. If you can tell us a little bit more about Chinatown, like, do you think it really represents the Chinese culture, or is it just more touristy? Or
I feel like it really helps represent it really helps represent us, and it's like a second home to me. I feel really welcome here, and then since it's really widespread and there's a lot of diversity here in Chicago, I feel like you get to meet a lot more people here, and you also get to experience a lot more different things that you might not be able to.
Yeah, that's good to know. And I think moving on from that to our really awesome looking, yummy looking smoothies. Do you call these smoothies?
Yeah.
Yeah, so can you tell us like what this is and what exactly?
It's usually made from fruit, and then right down here you can have tapioca with it, or herbal jelly and other types of jelly.
Okay.
But for this one we have tapioca, and it's like made from a potato starch, I believe.
Okay, that really looks great and it tastes good too. Okay, so here I am trying to show off my chopsticks using skills, and as you can see we have like really yummy food. And this is some orange chicken that we ordered, and this is some chicken fried rice, so it looks really tempting. And I'm gonna make my first attempt at using chopsticks and trying to pick a piece of chicken, and I hope it goes well. Okay, I did. Oh, okay, I got it. Kind of succeeded there. So it's pretty fun, and we are just chit-chatting and we're making videos. And so see, we were having such nice conversations before the camera came in, and now we're just with bubbles. No. No. Thank you for having us, Amanda, and thank you for introducing us to bundles. This bundles is gonna bring us bundles of joys in our life. So here I am at the end of our journey. It has been a very, very eventful evening. We met a really, really cute siblings, Annie and Amanda, at the Yummy Yummy Noodles. It was super fun. They were so warm and so welcoming. I had such a great time, and also got to know a lot about their culture and how they see things. So it has been a really great night, and I hope now I'm able to talk about the Chinese culture with some of the native people, as I feel a little bit more informed. So yeah, it was a really good night. Thank you. Ni hao, wa de ming zishri Rini. So this is my kind of a video report of the intercultural experience that I had yesterday, and in all honesty it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. I'm a history maniac, and I really love knowing about a country's past, their historical figures, and historical monuments and everything. So that really intrigues me. And I think this was a wonderful opportunity given to us by Carl to kind of step out of our comfort zones and kind of explore and gain more knowledge about other cultures. So I think arranging for this experience was an experience in itself for me, because initially I was struggling a lot to come up with an idea as to what I really want to do. Some of the ideas didn't work because of logistical issues, time constraints, but ultimately I realized that I have a roommate who's from China, so maybe I can have a conversation with her that would not only enhance my knowledge, but would also give me a chance to bond with her as well. So that conversations which we had for about 15-20 minutes made me realize that it is so much more beyond crossing borders and visiting countries. Like, knowing a country's culture is a worthwhile experience in itself. And while talking to Anne, I realized that how much in common China and India has in terms of culture, and probably the way our society is constructed. Like, India and China are both collectivistic cultures, and we kind of share the same similarities, that a family is always put first before an individual. So a family as a unit is given much more importance than that. And similarly, in terms of food, I realized that Chinese food is also quite flavorful and spicy, and of course, it differs in different regions, like in every other country. So I really had a great time trying out the food, as Chinese is kind of one of my favorite cuisines, and I really wanted to try a really good Chinese place. So uh, I really felt so welcomed by Annie and Amanda and their family, that they were just like so free. They didn't care about where me and my friend Shireen we had come from, and they didn't even bother to ask. And they just opened up, like human beings, no barriers. And I know that they're still kids, and of course it differs a lot more when you're conversing with adults. They have really high barriers and defenses, but that kind of made me realize that if all of us could like have conversations like kids do with each other, in the sense that having no pretense, having no preconceived notions about each other, but just being there in the moment and not judging anybody on the basis of their culture, of their skin color, and yet their ethnicity. So while talking to Anne about her experiences in US, she shared a really major point, which I also experienced myself firsthand when I went to Chinatown, which is of language barrier. And that because English is not the official language in China, so a lot of people who have migrated here or are studying here have difficulties in conversing with the native people in English. And that is why when I approached some people in Chinatown to get a glimpse of their experiences, they hesitated in sharing that, not because of anything else, but mainly because they were not able to express themselves very well in English. That kind of resonated with me, because though English is kind of like our first language, but still, I may be not as proficient in English as I am in Hindi, and which is my mother tongue, my first language. So I often find myself kind of feeling stuck when trying to explain something to somebody else. And I think I've had similar experiences of people being in their own groups, and maybe not reaching out, or maybe that's how I'm perceiving it, but it kind of feels unwelcomed. Maybe not directly, or maybe that's not intentional, but that makes me think, that is it a kind of a micro insult? Should we, international students who are outsiders, should we be thinking about it on those lines, that okay, just maybe kind of overlooking the fact that
we are not as fluent in your language. So does that kind of come across as micro insult? It's a very complicated thought. I know that, but I'm just trying to think that if people do realize that it is a really important factor for us, and I think this connects to the point which Kenneth V. Hardy mentioned in re-envisioning family therapy, that we really need to promote critical racial introspection, that is identifying one's own racial identity and answering questions related to it. So that is why I wanted to ask Anne and Annie questions about their identity. How do they feel about it, living here in a foreign country? But it was really fascinating to see a reflection of myself um, in their experiences, and I realized that maybe these things are experienced across all marginalized groups. And again, are we a marginalized group in USA or not? That's another a big question, which I don't think I'm really an expert to answer for. But I really think that people from the non-dominant groups, they somewhat feel the same way. Having interacted with a lot of international students from my own cohort, from others from my university, I have gotten a similar sense of kind of feeling left out in some ways or the other. And I think I've also experienced internalized racism here. I don't think that's as much prominent in the Chinese community here, because when I met people in Chinatown and everything, they seemed like really well connected, really, really together and there for each other, very supportive. But I think that's where I differ in my experiences, where I think I have experienced kind of internalized racism, where maybe people from my own community kind of have biases against us. So it's just wonderful to see, and maybe that's something we can learn from the Chinese culture and their community, that how to be together, and especially in a foreign country when you really need support. While doing this assignment, I was reminded of one of my multicultural clients. They're pretty young, and one of them, the male is 21-year-old white Native American, and the female is 20 years old Chinese, who's an international undergrad student here. So though I've just met them briefly, just once, but in just our first session, so many cultural considerations came up, which they themselves have realized that kind of hampered their relationship. And I was kind of trying to consolidate all these informations, which I got from my conversations from Anne and with my clients, and trying to relate it with the Mecca model that Falikov proposed. And I think this is a really wonderful framework that proposes a search for basic parameters to help therapists think comparatively and pluralistically about a family's given cultural configuration and the meanings they attach to it. And I believe that it can really help us therapists to create more awareness about our own situated knowledge of our personal and professional cultures. And I was trying to contrast it as to how I can use that model in my work, taking into consideration these conversations that I've had with real people. And I do understand that it is really complex to address these issues and to kind of talk about the ecological niche. And but I also think that it can really encourage curiosity in the therapeutic conversation, rather than just relying on stereotyping and ethnic focused information.
So I think I can really uh, derive so much from the mecha model and use it in my work with my clients. And I think from Carl's lecture in this class, I that one line by Falkov really resonated with me. That was, I think, in reference to immigrants. Um, so it said that, you know, you should be living with two hearts rather than a broken heart. So I think that really resonated with me, and I also felt that with my conversations with Anne and Annie, like both of them mentioned that how much they miss their country and hometown after coming here. And I do realize that most of us tend to live with a broken heart, and because we do not know as to how we can well balance this. And I think this is something which my client is also kind of going through. So I really think that I can use our course material in helping them out and assisting them to identify their own constraints and maybe how we can overcome that. So this field experience had been absolutely wonderful for me, and I could do this again and again with different cultures and without even having to write a report for it. I mean, I would love to do this, and I really hope that this video also conveyed well what I was thinking about my experience, my own um, countertransferences, and my own difficulties or my own happiness while being on this journey. So I really hope I have been able to communicate that well. So once again, I would like to thank Carl for giving us this opportunity, and special thanks to Anne and Annie, and of course Shireen, for participating with me in making this video report, and otherwise it wouldn't have been the same. So thank you guys so much.